Alright, we are live, folks, and we actually, for the second time in a row, have all three hosts and a guest. So, we'd like to say thanks to Brandon from Young Guns Paintball for joining us tonight. So, Brandon, I'll give you a chance. Go ahead and introduce yourself. I see we've got a couple of viewers in already. Alright, I'm being told apparently people can't hear you, so I'm going to have to do some adjustments on my end. Ow. There's another one. Alright, can everybody hear everybody else? And Spartan's got new headphones today, so I can hear you. So, okay. Apparently I am the only one that can be heard tonight, and I don't know what's going on with that. I've got volumes all turned up, so. Well, that doesn't change anything. I'm hoping so. I've got everything turned up as much as I can on my end here. I knew the gremlins had to be in here somewhere. I can hear you, so. I have no idea what's going on here. Because I can hear you guys all fine. Apparently they followed me from Calgary down to Lethbridge. Apparently. Well, that's always a good thing. Apparently somebody thought you were going to cry there. Yeah, I'm honestly at a loss as to what is causing this one tonight. Heather says use hand signals. Oh. It's been suggested, so. Oh. Yeah. At least you guys are entertaining the crowd even if they can't hear you. Yeah. All right. All right. I'm gonna have to do a technical reload here. So yeah, I'm gonna have to try restarting the computer and see if that fixes anything. But TeamViewer is working properly. Uh-oh. Now they're thinking they lost me. Alright, tactical reload. Be right back, folks. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a total restart on my computer here. I am so sorry. And apparently there is now an E in restart.
Who slept with who?
Nothing quite that interesting.
Not that interesting, just politics interesting.
There we go.
All right.
Where would a game as fun as paintball be without politics, eh?
More or less.
Oh, I hear you. Okay, we're back. Yay.
Yay! And people can hear us. I have defeated gremlins.
Hooray! Win! Yay!
Oh my gosh.
People can hear us. Even me.
Huzzah!
So I am sorry for that. So, yeah. That happened.
Yeah.
So Brandon, since
Yes.
nobody heard, could you please explain again who you are and why you're on with us tonight?
We got to move on now. I guess to try to recap my previous story, which will never be the same. Celebrate 25th year in business this year. Young Guns was started by 4 young 15-year-old boys. 3 of them my good friends all the way through elementary school. We fell in love with the sport of paintball. We decided we were going to start a paintball facility, and then we ran into nothing but politics at the municipal level to the point where we lost our investment. We ran into some big trouble, and everybody had to sort of move on with their lives. And at that point in time, I met Destiny, and then based on the fact that we just weren't willing to just let that kind of ride, we challenged the municipality for a number of years thereafter. And finally got ourselves an operating permit, and then we were in the wrong place for the wrong time. For so long, we were in the right place at the right time, and we've always just really concentrated on making sure that people who came to Young Guns enjoyed themselves. We always tried to have new and interesting fields and concepts, and always tried to be industry leaders, work with the other people, mostly manufacture at that time, other fields when we could, and it's been a long haul.
Nice. And that was a very good recap. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't think it was anywhere similar to those, right?
So I got to ask, at 15 years old, how do you start a field?
Well, I took the money that I had invested when I was 13 in TELUS, when AGT was AGT, and then it was TELUS, and we invested some of that money into, at that point in time, what we thought we were going to start a business for about $12,000 at that time, and obviously not enough, especially with a lot of the legal costs that we had to end up incurring. I was always a business person, and my friends were always ambitious young guys, and we were, we played sports together and all that kind of thing, and it seemed like a no-brainer when we did it. So none of us even hesitated. There was no hesitation. It was, this is what we're doing, and we're going to go ahead with it. So did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, really well.
I wish I'd have thought to start a business at 15 years old.
Well, I can tell you the main reason why I encouraged everyone my whole way through to own a business is because if you can have a business that's something you're passionate about, normally whatever you're passionate about is the thing where most of your time and attention is going to, as well as a good chunk of your everyday budget. So it only makes sense. Unfortunately, it does sometimes ruin your passion for something. But at the same time, because it's normally something that you're most knowledgeable about and you're spending a lot of time, and as I said, energy into, it creates a lot of opportunity for oneself. So it's something that everybody should consider.
Very cool. So Heather's in the comments there, and she's mentioning that apparently your field is one of the best she's ever had the honor of playing at, and that you yourself are just absolutely amazing to the players, especially when people travel long distances. So I think that's a pretty good recommendation right there.
Yeah.
I much appreciate it. I actually believe it's the players that make Young Guns, and the players all coming to Young Guns with the right attitude. And what I really just try to do is make sure that if there's the odd person who might not be enjoying the game as much as I potentially wanted them to, or something's going wrong, I really just try to steer that in a better direction, because everybody who comes here, and I mean, like, we're talking about, there is barely anyone with a bad attitude here. Everyone that comes to Young Guns is just absolutely awesome.
Very nice.
And I mean, I wish I could go out and pick them that way, but I bet you if I went out and hand-picked them, I couldn't do as good a job as how it just naturally happens.
Very nice. So it looks like we've got everybody back in. We've got 6 folks with us here. So thanks for everybody who came back after our horrible little gremlin attack.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So I know you guys just had the Tippmann Challenge out at your field. I know that that's a fairly large game. How did that one run for you guys?
Well, we have been doing the Tippmann Challenge for I don't know how many years. It has been several years. Our Tippmann Challenges have never added up to be what the Tippmann Challenges have been out in the East in regards to volume of players, as well as a lot more money has been invested into the games out East, but then they get the player base and they get to, sort of cover those things off. This year, we really tried to make sure all the field improvements that we were doing this year came together by the time the Tippmann Challenge was arriving. We tried to have guest stars. We also, late in the game, brought in some other fields. Sometimes, businesses, you hesitate to bring in your competitors per se and put them in, at your and say, hey, here's my customers. But you know what? I think paintball needs a boost. I think that I think that help the game have a better feel. I think that there was a lot of camaraderie that, happened because of it. And some, old relationships that I had have been rekindled. I mean, I reached out to Harry and talked to him on the phone, and he's like the guy, like when I was a kid and there's Capture the Flag, I always wanted to go to Capture the Flag. That's where I got to go. And so he's that field. And then I'd have people come up and be like, yeah, I went to Capture the Flag. And so it was nice talking with him. And then Bart is another guy where he was a major sponsor of our event and Impact. He's a guy who is right now, top of the world with his team, and he's been doing that kind of thing. It's not scenario paintball, it's not recreational paintball, but he's at the other level of the scale, and he supported our event. Bart and I,
awesome.
We
really
big teams head like this, and this time around, I was supporting other fields, and he was supporting us, and I think it just had a really good feel. A lot of the people who attended the event that I've talked to, I also get that feeling. But, I haven't talked to a whole bunch of people since the event, because right after the event, it snowed, and it hasn't been, it hasn't been the September that it normally is. And so people who I'm hoping to see this Sunday for our It Scenario game. I don't know if anyone knows about it, but Darcy Schlickenmeyer, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but he played for Chicago Aftershock. He was also a good friend of Mike Carey's. He's written this game, so I'm going out to play. Like normally I've been doing scenario games for 12, 13, it might even be 15 years, and I don't normally get to play. I get to play in this one, so I'm pretty excited. It is a little most scenarios you do because Darcy wrote it, so I didn't have any input, and it looks like it's going to be pretty fun.
Do you have any tips on playing in a big game like that?
Well, be ready. So we always recommend guys show up a little bit early to make sure that they're ready. I recommend going through your equipment the night before. It doesn't even hurt sometimes, to come by the day before, maybe grab a little bit of the paint, do a little test firing around home, a little sizing, a little this or that. So being ready, because I think enjoying paintball is equipment that works on a day that you can enjoy with people who are playing the game with the right attitude.
Yeah.
Very cool. I laugh because
I think Grizz knows that firsthand.
Yeah. The one time I forget to clean my marker, and it looked like I soaked it in paint.
Well, we do our best to help the people who fail themselves. We do really try to help those people. But on our big games, there is a lot of them, and we try to go through them. And that's something really cool about the Tipman Challenge, obviously, is in the Tipman Challenge, the Tipman Tech flies in. Pat, if you ever get to meet him, he's a really good guy. And, having that extra help definitely does add something to the Tipman Challenge here.
Very cool. And so you were mentioning the It game. Can you please tell us a little bit more about that one? Because I know Heather really wants to hear about this game.
Here's the thing. I didn't write this one, but there's going to be clowns, and there's going to be children dressed. There's going to be a lot of balloons. And instead, a lot of times there's airdrop. This time, if something, it's going to be sewer systems clowns can go into and get into the back door. There's going to be bikes kids can jump on and kind of go around and do some flanking.
That's awesome.
There's going to be balloons, prizes, numbers, and all sorts of different things in them. And as far as the game goes, that's kind of the unique difference. Other than that, there will still be a lot of the same kind of battles, unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on who you are, because people gravitate to a fight, I find. Mm-hmm. So there will be those people who gravitate to that fight that they love because, it just happens. So there'll be something for everybody, I think.
If you guys ever run this game again, that's definitely one. Actually, Heather's going.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? The weather forecast has got a lot better. I didn't know if I wanted to go yesterday or the day before, and I look now and sunny and 9. That's actually perfect paintball weather. It's dry out here, sunny, 9, so not a lot of wind. Ideally, when you're running around in a big game, I find that people are happiest in that temperature. They really are, because you're not overheating and you're not, it's an enjoyable temperature.
if I remember correctly, I believe that Heather and Grant are on Team It. So I wish I could be there.
The registrations until the day before, because we get an influx on Fridays and an influx on Saturdays, and then so many people show up on the day of. We make it a bit more expensive for people to show up on the day of, because it is actually we have to staff extra for people who we don't know about, and sometimes they don't show up and sometimes they do. So when they do, we give out lots of extra prizes, and when they don't, we have to, we're paying staff to be there that we don't necessarily need. But that's why we try to get everybody involved early. And then there's the people who, sign up a day or two ahead of time. And then there's the guys who show up on Sundays. Yes, we love you too, but pay more.
Yes. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it looks like Heather is not going to be playing. She's
Yeah.
going for Thanksgiving. I just wish someone could take a picture of them in a clown costume hugging Heather. That would be awesome. And I know I'm gonna die next time I see her for saying that.
But the next photo on that roll of film is Heather's throat around her hands around their throat. Because the only way a clown is getting that close to Heather is if they sneak up on her.
I'm just waiting for the backlash from her.
Yeah, she says SAS is planning to be on Team It, but she's not touching it with a 400-kilometer pole. So,
We're gonna miss.
So as
Okay,
far as
Heather,
planning bigger games like that, do you have any other tips aside from making the latecomers pay a little more?
Well, I can tell you this about big games. First of all, it starts with about 36 hours of not sleeping. So I get up in the morning Saturday, start making prep. We help all our regular customers on Saturdays. We try to get as much done as we can. But once the end of the day, Saturday hits, we have to change the entire facility, the placement of every single thing, and all of a sudden equipment fires up. And we work basically from our closing on Saturday to there's already people in the parking lot. So it's like, oh, I hope no one else shows up because we got to do that. And there's people, arriving bright and early before the gates technically open. And we say gates open, but we never really close our gates. So there's people in the parking lot, and we're working right up until the last minutes of the game. And then we're working throughout the entire game to try to adjust to anything that happens. I mean, when you're dealing with that many moving pieces and you have a bit of a structure to the game, what we try to do is not concentrate too much on the structure and more to adjusting to the players and what's happening, because it really ends up being, we find, more about the experience than, the reality of the game. So we only try to take the reality of the game so far, because we find if we really concentrate on making it as real as possible, it doesn't actually normally play out as well as if we just cater to the way the game goes.
Good to know.
That's definitely good information. I have a feeling I'm going to have some sleepless nights in the future.
I think we all are.
Yeah, we all are.
Especially in planning that big game.
If we do the 24-hour game here and you guys are helping me with it, you're going to need some caffeine. Yeah, a lot of caffeine.
I like caffeine.
And I'm talking about the night before this happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that the game I think you're referencing, I think our plan is actually 48 hours.
How long can a human feasibly stay up?
See, that's the fun
Does anyone
part.
know that?
Go ahead, Spartan.
I've been up for a day and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, 48 more than a day and a half. Plus, we have
Well, true. But, it's just how
But the
how
nice
work
thing
your
is, I
body
think-
and spread yourself.
Yeah,
The nice
because
thing about it, I think, is as long as it's continuous, like players can take breaks, they can sleep during play time, like gameplay and save stones. Everything is an extreme work in progress. So, if we only go, say, 30 hours or 36 hours, that's totally fine by us.
Yeah, if it has
We're
to get
just
cut
trying to
short,
push
the
envelope.
goal is to set the world record for the longest
we can't-
continuous game.
So what is the current record?
Last I
33 hours.
heard, I think it was first set at 26 hours, and then I think somebody else beat that record, and I think it was put up around 30. But those were done on indoor speedball fields. So
Okay,
for
and then-
a continuous game, our plan
how-
is to play the players in shifts.
Yeah.
Do you know how they judge the format? Like how long? Like there just has to be people on the field somewhere shooting or engaging each other at some point in time, or how does that?
The
do you know-
game has to continue on, so play must continue.
Yeah.
Be continuous for so long.
Yeah, the game itself cannot stop. So in my experience, your average game, you play for 45 minutes to an hour, but then you've got, that 20-minute interval break where people go and they, reload and they get new air, and then they're out on the field after getting new missions. Our plan for this is basically those missions come while you're on the field. And if somebody, needs to take that break, then they can pull themselves out of the action, but there's still other players actively involved in the game.
And do you know how many players in the world record they had at the end of these periods of time?
Like I said, in the past, the first one was set out in BC. They might actually be somebody we need
They
to
had
reach
about
out to for
30
this.
players.
But yeah, they had about 30 players, and they were having the issue of, because it was such a small group, people were hitting that wall of they've been up too long, they haven't eaten properly, and their bodies started to shut down on them, and they were dropping. So that's why we're trying to think of a safe way of doing all of this, where, everybody's comes out of it healthy. So it's going to be an
Health and safety
undertaking.
is going to be
Health and
our
safety is
number
number
one
one.
concern.
Gotcha. You guys are gonna have to look after me because I got to be honest. If this game's going on for 48 hours and I got to stay awake a day ahead of time, it's gonna be a long time. World record.
Well, Heather did say it, so probably a day or two before the event is scheduled, I know I'm going to be coming up. Probably Spartan and Grizz will be able to join if we get it booked off.
Oh, yeah, I can book the time, so I'll be up there.
Ready to assist in getting the place prepped. Obviously, I would love to play a little bit of it, but I'm definitely going to be one of the first responders, one of the first aiders.
Mhm.
Yep.
If we need things changed around, I'm going to be one of the first ones. As part of the planning committee, it's basically going to be us organizing everything. We want to take as little or as much weight off of you and your staff as possible, just so that we can help make sure that it runs smoothly. And the overnight player, we're limiting the number of players as well, and that's a big safety thing for us as well. So we have a feeling most night players are going to be mag fed, just limit the amount of paint that they're using, slow play down mag fedders, and this isn't a diss against any of the other disciplines. They tend to do quite well in drawn out situations, so they bunker in, they play smart. It's just going to allow us to keep a little bit more of a tighter schedule, so to speak.
So, yeah, we plan to do as much of the planning on this and getting everything worked out.
Being involved.
Yeah, so we're not just going to drop this in your lap and walk away on you, don't worry.
I think
Don't worry,
Destiny would kill us if we did anyway.
Oh man.
In all honesty, a regular scenario game around here is a 48-hour challenge for me. It really is. Because once everybody, we still have, almost another 8 or 12 hours cleanup.
Understandable.
So, yeah,
so,
it's
yeah, we don't plan on running away on you after that either. So, But yeah, I noticed your heart rate
booking
kind of go
6
up a little
days.
bit once I said 48 hours. So
Well, we can definitely do our best. So I think what we need to do is talk to your viewers, talk to the members of SAS, talk to the general paintball community, and find out what date is going to work for this. I mean, this weekend I have the It scenario game. I look at the weather. The weather was kind of, doing this. You guys in Calgary, you guys are already got your snowmobiles out. So,
yeah.
I mean, bottom line is that. Is this too late until October? And the only reason I ask is because it was only 4 weeks ago that we were holding the Tittman Challenge. So the Tittman Challenge was 4 weeks ago as of this upcoming Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, we definitely didn't want to step on the Tittman Challenge's toes, and we were thinking of doing it as a last event in October, just so that everyone would close out their season on a really big high. And then, have something to look forward to coming into the next season with a whole bunch more events and, just going into the season, excited for what the future holds for the sport. Having lived in Edmonton most of my life, I don't remember an October where there wasn't snow by around Halloween. The snow that we have down here is absolutely an anomaly. It's not happened before. I would definitely like to get everyone's ideas on dates. I would like to make it probably the last big event of the season. That way everyone has something to look forward to.
Well, the only reason I'm suggesting is possibly this weekend is because when you're talking about 48 hours and people traveling to be part of this and you guys taking time, sometimes it's nice to have that extra long weekend day. But with that being said, a lot of times long weekends, people have events planned with their families. They're going out of town in different directions. Local people are sometimes heading opposite directions. So we find that long weekends are, a positive and a negative thing for a game like this.
Makes sense.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, the first idea we had was September long, which is your Tittman Challenge. And when you and I first reached the subject of doing a night game or an overnight game, you had basically mentioned, you would prefer to keep the field open for walk-ons and other stuff like that. So that is our first priority, is to make sure that your business is not affected by something that we're planning. So that's why we want to get everyone's input. Another thing that we have to make sure is that we have enough people, dedicated first aiders, first responders, that we have water and Gatorade and food, like snacks for people to eat, because it is going to be an extremely long event, and those who decide to stick around for all 48 hours or however long we do end up going for, they're going to need the support. And that's what we're going to do, is we're going to support everyone, including you guys.
So what do you guys think? Are you thinking like an all-inclusive like deal where players will pay one price and their breakfast, their lunch, their supper, their beverages are all kind of included and supplied? Or are you thinking more along the lines of allowing people to choose their own budget by, packing their own lunches and doing their own food and, mag-fed players might not want a case, but, somebody, running a die dam might want two, or have you guys put any thought into that?
When the idea first came about, I think Rez and I were just tossing an idea around. I think Spartan was involved as well. But It was mostly Grizz who came up with it. I actually went to Vulcan Paintball and I said, hey, so this is a situation, this is an idea that we have. They basically said, yeah, we'd be willing to donate cases. So I think I was told a number of 160 cases of UV paint for night play. So I know, we're looking at having sponsors for drinks, sponsors for paint, sponsors for prizes for players who stick around for the night play, sponsors for prizes for general day play and everything like that. So we're trying to make it as amazing and awesome as possible without making it kind of corny and cheesy. At the same time, we're also hoping to make it into a charity event where we raise money for 3 very worthy charities that don't get much recognition. And that's where some of the first one is...
And these aren't set yet because we have to reach out to them and make sure they want to be involved.
Yeah, it's not set in stone, but we do have 3 that we would like to raise funds for. And the first one comes from one of our sponsors. He suggested it as a good option just to bring awareness to it, and that's Soldier On. Then we'd also like to do some fundraising for the Alberta Council of Women's Shelters and Youth Empowerment and Support Services here in Alberta as well. And then obviously with it being open to players from, nationwide, worldwide, if you're in the States and you want to come play it, absolutely, by all means, come. Maybe we could try and find ways to support other organizations, maybe internationally through corporations that allow us to do so. So we're going to be exploring a lot of different options, but there are 3 that we really would like to help support.
Will there be tax receipts available?
Yes, there will be tax receipts available. Most nonprofit charity organizations do that. So once we get into once we ramp the planning process up, we're going to be in touch with all 3 organizations, and we're going to be getting all the information required for it. Also for the night play, we're looking at players having a kind of like an entry fee to pay, just to so that we have a reason for staffers to be there, the field to be open all night. They would pay an extra fee, and they would do some fundraising as well, so that they can say, yes, I played the 48-hour game and I helped raise funds for these incredible organizations.
So there will be some, based on the basic plan, people are going to be out in a drive ahead of this, raising money that they're going to bring to the event that they went out and did like a fund drive for. Is that kind of the idea?
That is the hope, yes. So we're definitely not going to say that, you have to do that in order to take part of the event, but we're asking the players who want to play in the night portions of it to bring something more to the table. We want them to be a little more dedicated and a little more driven for it.
Well, you guys, I'll put, after the show here, I should probably put you guys in touch with a gentleman by the name of Rusty. He holds a event out here for the Stullery all the time. And instead of going after paintball players, what he does is he goes to different industries and basically he has them raise money, and they have to actually raise a certain amount of money to enter a team. And then what we do in return is we give some of our support back to those people who raise those funds. So in turn, what we're doing as a facility is we're donating to the people who got the donations, and it really gets a variety of people. And the other thing it does is that you start basing the prizes and the goals off of fundraising versus winning or losing matches or games or participation. Just an idea.
I like that.
That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah, that's a really
good idea. That's not something that I would have thought of.
No.
So, I'm going to take a chance on this lull real quick, just because I see a certain name popping up in our comments there.
Good evening, Nate.
Yeah, so Mr. Nate Jester is joined us, so I have to say, thanks to our wonderful sponsor, which is JTAC Gear. And,
Absolutely.
He's helped us out with a lot of stuff, both on and off the field. And also a huge thanks to Armadillo. They've been supporting us for quite some time now.
Almost from the start.
Pretty much, so. Yep. And now I'm done the business advertising part of the show.
Actually, I'm going to make you expand a little bit. You said JTAC? JTAC? What is it? Sorry.
JTAC Gear.
Yes, tell me more.
JTAC Gear is a line of, I think it's like backpacks and such like that, and other, tactical gear that is sold through Jester's company, which is obviously JTAC.
Do you still
So-
have your MRS on?
I
you,
don't
or-
have my tactical MRS with me today. That's back in Calgary. So
Sorry, so they don't use like Vulcan as a distributor?
no. Let me see here. I don't have all.
Jester,
Of
we're
the...
stumbling. If you can give
No,
us some
it sounds-
info.
Before
You're making us look bad in front of the in front of Jester.
Well, he's calling us ladies now. Nate's calling us ladies. That's not
Whoa.
Are you really all that surprised?
good. No. Absolutely
Well, I don't
not.
lot, but you know, from someone who sponsors a lot of stuff, I like to get a little bit more out there about the sponsors, because in reality, a lot of people when they think event, they're like, I'm going to get sponsors, and sponsors start to
Yeah.
get sponsor fatigue. So if these guys are out there sponsoring and they're still sponsoring right now, that's absolutely commendable, because I've got to be honest. Every time somebody has a bright idea, they're looking for somebody to help them out with it. And I think a lot of times what people really need to do is they need to go out and do something for somebody and say, hey, look what I did for you, and I'm going to continue to do this for you until they have no reason but to give you something, because it's like, wow, you've gone out and you've really helped my business. Where's all this traffic going to my website, or why is all this traffic being driven toward, you know? So anyways, if these guys are out there sponsoring guys, that's fantastic, because it's a tough market right now, and just giving people something because they had a good idea, that's commendable. So
Yeah, Jester
Yeah.
is he's and this isn't me just sucking up to him. He's honestly one of my heroes. He served our country in the armed forces. He does paintball and airsoft sponsorships. He does training, so he does military style training. We were very fortunate to take part in some of his some of
Yeah,
the
we
training
were.
that he offers. Not enough, unfortunately. Maybe next year.
Yeah.
He helps promote small companies as well. So like Black Bear Gear, they
Veteran
do
company.
incredible stuff. He does real steel shooting, paintball, airsoft. I mean, he really is a man of many talents. I just wish I wasn't drawing a blank on everything that he does with JTAC. He has sponsored players, sponsored groups, sponsored teams all over North America. Command Bros are some of his as well.
He's helped us out with a lot of
Yeah.
just networking as well.
right, does he have like specialty items or very specialized to certain things, or is he selling a lot of the same products that everybody else is in just a different way, or like what makes JTAC equipment the equipment to go to?
I'm not sure. I know he works with, I believe it's Black Bear. Spartan, you're wearing the t-shirt.
No, I'm wearing Kydex Spectacles.
Oh, I just saw the bear pop. My bad. But he works with Black Bear Tactical, and I believe that's where a lot of his stuff has come through. So I've tagged JTAC Gear and Armadillo Inc. both in the comments. That's the one. So yeah, Jester's working with Black Bear.
So Armadillo, because I've been around the industry for 25 years, haven't heard much about them, but all of a sudden this year the word's out. So are they rather new, or is with some new innovative products, or are they just throwing a whole bunch more support towards the players this year?
I know that Armadillo has been around for a little over 5 years. I've been using their products. I've got a couple of different headsets from them, as far as like headwear protection, as well as I've got my gloves through them. I'm actually wearing an Armadillo shirt today. So they've got a whole bunch of different sports-related product that goes beyond just paintball now as well. But yeah, they've been around for a little while. It's basically a one-man operation, other than he's now got a few more people helping him to put the products together and send them out.
So is he the product innovator, or is he the manufacturer, or is he just the mind behind the ideas, and then he has them made overseas, or how does it work?
So that's Graham. He's the guy coming up with all of this. He's actually just from Eastern Canada. Nate is mentioning it there as well, saying it is a lifestyle brand.
He is, and it's a Canadian company.
So yeah, he's the guy who was sitting at home thinking, here's what I want. How do I make this product? And so he was actually telling me the one day that he took, in order to test what he calls his voodoo mesh, which is what he makes his headgear out of. And so he took a pot of like boiling water, had one pot on, just sitting on the counter, open air, another pot, same temperature, sitting beside it, and then measured the heat dissipation, one open air, one with this voodoo mesh over top, to see if there was much of a difference in how fast they were cooling. If so, that way he could tell, is it going to hold in the heat, or is it going to allow a player's head to breathe without cooking their brain? And yeah, they cooled at about the same speed. So like, he actually tests this stuff. I know he wears it himself out on the field. I've been wearing it for about the last 5 years. I love it. I've taken shots to the head that normally would have left a nasty welt, and yet I've had them bounce. So this stuff is wonderful.
Well, if they bounce, you gotta love bounces, right?
Yeah.
So do you call yourself
Yeah.
playing?
Sorry, you kind of cut out on me there.
Around with you. Well, that's awesome. Do you know if he plans on selling into the market other than on his own, or is he going to use a distributor? Does he have salesmen? Because like what it is I'm seeing more and more players with it. We have a store. I don't think we have anything in our store, but obviously the brand is moving forward. So have you guys talked on the show about any of this stuff before?
We haven't had a chance to talk with Graham about that. However, if you're saying you have a store and you're interested, I can easily point you in his direction, and
yeah, cool.
Go from there.
Cool.
Armadillo's
Cool.
or Armadillo is definitely it's a very high quality product. A lot of people, when Armadillo first came back, was accusing Armadillo of taking the Predlock design and just commercializing it. Predlock is is the head unit that I use. It's handmade out of the States. Very somewhat similar product, but absolutely not the same in any way, shape, or form. It's a different process. It's a different thing. If my Predlock unit were to die tomorrow,
Armageddon, or are you buying another one?
Well, if my Predlock were to die, I'd go with Armageddon. You
Well,
can't beat their quality. They look great.
And they're comfy.
They look comfortable. I mean, hell, I've got 4 layers of felt on my head.
Well, I tell you what, man. Next time we're at a game, because I've got the 2 units now, I'll let you run one of mine, and you can try it out. See what you think.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
See if it gives me the same predator look. I have to have the flowing locks.
Yeah.
And your Rasta mat. You cannot forget that Rasta mat.
Oh God, no.
Oh, yeah.
So, Nate did mention in the comments there, apparently Graham does have many dealers that are selling it as well. So,
Awesome.
So we've got our sponsor saying that he stands behind our supporters. So, it's nice that they get along.
I like that. You can't get better than that.
All right, now the commercial break's over. Now where are we going?
Wow, that was the best sponsor pitch we've had. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know when I spoke with you on the phone initially there, Brandon, I had asked, we might ask what you have planned for next year. Do you know what you have planned for next year yet?
Well, we try to set our dates just a few weeks from now. We try to set our dates early for a number of reasons. First of all, we like other fields to know our dates. We don't have overlapping dates. We don't have competing events. Obviously, sometimes, there just is. We having a lot of events on long weekends. In regards to next year, a lot of the games we're going to be doing are going to be new. I think one of the repeat games we're going to do is our Fury game. So our Fury game we did early this season. We had built a whole fleet of tanks, and we sort of set them out all over the field. We built them so they're completely mobile, and we don't hesitate to move them around. And what I'd like to do is play the same kind of game format, but have things positioned differently. So same game format, different positions, which means the game should play out differently.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll be doing that.
Awesome, by the way.
You like them?
Yeah.
Oh, they look incredible.
They play well too. They play very well.
Nice.
So I guess I'll give props to Andre. So Andre is one of our right-hand men around here. I don't know whether he's watching or if this, but one day there wasn't a lot to do around the field. Operationally, we were ready, and we came up one morning, a little sketch on a piece of paper, and by 10 o'clock in the morning, I was loading up a truck full of material, and by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we were building a prototype, and basically 24 hours later, we had started a tank assembly line, which then lasted like 5. Yeah.
Wow.
His wife helped. Destiny, my girlfriend and business partner, she helped, and another gentleman around here who helps out a lot, Kyle, he put in some effort. So it was a five man and woman job over 5 weeks, and we're pretty happy with the end product.
They look. I saw a picture of all of them kind of lined up there, and they look scary to begin with. And then it's just they literally look like just a wall of iron ready to roll forward and crush people. They really did turn out great.
Well, Predator, earlier before the show, you were mentioning about your neighbors being crazy. You should have seen my neighbors look at me when I had a mile-long row of tanks with smoke blowing out of them because we took a number of different shots. So I think I'm the crazy neighbor. So.
I'll trade you over my neighbors any day.
Pred, I think your neighbors think you're the crazy one. I've seen what you're building in your basement.
Yeah. I don't have nuclear rockets in my basement. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh my god.
Oh, you've got 3 of them built
on the
now.
go and 4 more waiting. Well, I've got 2 big 6 foot long ones, and then I've got 1, 2, 3, 6 4-foots.
Oh my gosh, man. And you want to load those into the back of my truck to get them up to a field.
Yeah.
They won't fit in his micro.
Not to mention the box of claymores that I have.
You're so going to get me pulled over.
Yeah, I kind of want to be in the back seat when it happens, just to see the look on the face.
Next year, we do plan on doing a contest where we get people to build props, and then we basically have them voted on, and we create a bunch of new props for the field, and give people an opportunity to contribute. A lot of people want to contribute, and then the people who really put forward something that everyone just absolutely loves, reward them in some way, shape, or form. We haven't put together all the details yet, but that's something that we plan on doing because we wanted to do it this year and then just never got around to it. So bring your bombs.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So Grizz, you need to get those automatic countdowns, and we'll win hands down. I think.
Yeah.
Well, we could just turn the back of this truck into a rocket platform. Then why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because driving down the QE2 with that's gonna go over real well.
Oh yeah.
be getting pulled over by the RCMP, every 15 minutes?
No, we just get swarmed outside of Olds.
You're thinking we'll make it that far.
Where's the tow truck?
Called back roads.
Yeah.
Well,
Or
gentlemen,
we just put him in Roman's camo truck.
That might go over a little better.
Absolutely.
Heather's saying
we've
empty
hit our,
beer kegs make amazing paintball props.
That they do.
I'll start him.
But go ahead there, Brandon.
I said I'll start emptying some.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll get on that too.
Anything to help out.
Exactly.
Yeah. For sure.
That's what we do the day after the 48-hour event.
So you know what? Touch back on the 48-hour event, if you guys don't mind. Like, I don't know if you have.
Absolutely.
Let's go back to it because I know that's something where I believe a lot of the people who are watching, you know, are part of this or whatever. I know Heather and Grant are out there, plus you guys. So let's come up with some date selections. Can everyone put their input in out there, and we come up with a couple different dates, and we start to try to nail it down, because really from a municipal level, I have to go in and I got to buy everyone Christmas presents, and I just got to know what day it is.
No, that makes sense. So I know Heather was saying that pushing it earlier than October would probably be a good idea, just because of the way that the weather is around here and the temperature. Especially if we've got people coming up out of the States, or, you know, that just aren't used to Alberta in October. They're going to freeze. So,
what do you guys think about with the Tittman Challenge?
Ooh.
I'm open to this idea.
That because me too, because it doesn't kibosh the Tittman Challenge. It almost opens. I was told by some guys who played on your MagFed team from the Tittman Challenge that they had a blast and that the MagFeders completely crushed a team. Now, my thought is if we have the MagFed players from the Tittman Challenge carry on into the overnight, and we just do groups, like 10-man teams or something like that, 20-man teams, and have the MagFed team, you know, continue rolling on, so to speak, and others who wish to join them. I think that would be a great way to keep it fun and entertaining.
Yeah.
Well, I've never been a bad guy at math, but I seem to be struggling with it because we keep talking about a night, but according to my mathematical calculation,
it's going to be 2 nights, yeah.
2 nights. 2 nights, yes.
So, with 2 nights being, you know, with 2 nights, are you guys talking about starting like on a Friday night and people arriving early? Or are you guys talking about people arriving on a Saturday, playing Saturday night, carrying it over to the Sunday night? How are you guys meeting?
Probably Saturday, carrying over to Sunday, carrying over to Monday, especially if it's a holiday Monday. That would probably be the best option. That's why we were initially. I was hoping to plan for a long weekend, because that way everyone would be like, okay, we finish up at like 9 a.m. Monday morning. Let's sleep for the rest of the day and be prepared for the work week the next day, kind of thing.
So I was going to suggest noon till noon, but 9 till 9. So 9 a.m. Saturday to 9 a.m. Monday is kind of what you're thinking?
We could do that. Noon to noon would probably work best, because that allows everyone to, you know, kind of get orientation, especially for those who are wanting to play through the nights. There's going to be different rules and regulations and fields in use. So, you know, having as much information presented to the players and having everyone ready to go at once, knowing what is going to happen over the next 48 hours would be an ideal situation.
Okay, and then just because we talked about, you know, our facility and facilitating this event, it almost sounds like you guys are not wanting to say use the entire facility at any given time. So am I just reading you wrong, or does it sound like maybe you guys are interested in blocking off 3 fields, having a planned battle, and then having another 3 or 4 fields and have another plan, because we have 18 fields here. So,
Yeah,
I mean, normally when we do big games like the Tittman Challenge, I mean, we're utilizing the entire facility, and then, we're also using the X-Ball field on the side as like this auxiliary thing going on for the people, more from a spectating aspect, and also just a different game style for people who enjoy the different game style. So is it fair for me to assume, based on the little bit of conversation we've had, that we're talking about smaller battles that are isolated, or are we talking about we're going to try to have like 600 people play 48 hours?
We're talking about during the day having as many players on the entire facility as possible, and at night shrinking it down to 3-4 fields, just to make it easier for us to control the situation if something does arise. So that way it's more controlled. So if first responders need to get in there, we're in there quicker. We have a smaller area to search if someone does get hurt.
So what about day 2? Like, are you thinking big game for 2 days and then isolated games evening and nighttime, or are you thinking one big game and then an isolated group of survivors slowly but surely dwindle off until everyone's almost dead at noon on Monday?
My initial thought, and I think Grizz and Spartan would agree with me, is big game for 2 full days, have as many people show up as they want to throughout the day, and just have that group of hardcore players for the night games. And obviously on night 2, if people want to join in, there'd be an extra little fee. They could join in. But we would make sure to always contain it to a certain number of fields throughout the night play.
But let's just say I'm a paintball player. I want to be part of this. What are you guys thinking is like a budget that a player is going to have to put aside for this? Like, let's set aside any accommodations, because I think what I'm going to try to do, if we were to move forward this, if we pick the date properly, is we'll try to arrange a camping-like arrangement in order to bring the overnight cost down, and then nobody has to logistically try to drive anywhere or do anything like that. So, where do you think a budget is for this? Like, this is 48 hours of gameplay is, obviously a long time.
Yeah.
It is a long time, so yeah, hopefully a world record that'll stand for a long time, and something that'll put not just Alberta and paintball on the map, but also Young Guns. To keep the cost down for lots of players, that's why I'm hoping to get some paint sponsors, even if it's multiple sponsors that are donating, pallets of paint each to bring the cost down for players. Obviously, it would be standard field fees, or any field fee that you see fit to charge, plus your decision on the paint prices. For the night players, I generally see it mostly being mag fetters or speedball players who are willing to do a slower paced game, just to keep their costs down as well. So that's where the donated paint would come into effect, would be mostly the night play. But I would like to see enough paint donated that we could have a cost lowered for players throughout the entire event.
I see. So you're thinking that the donated paint would be for nighttime players only, and then everybody would sort of be on their own for during the day type of thing to help supplement the cost back over of the additional staffing and attention that's required. Is that the general idea?
Pretty much. So right now, the paint that has been that I've been told could be donated is all the UV paint from Vulcan. So that is generally designed for night play. Obviously, if there's enough cases donated, we could easily give some to you to sell at a lower cost for players who want to partake in the events, and then that way you're having a little more income coming as well, and maybe supplementing a lower entry fee or lower paint cost that you decide to do. So we want to make sure that we look after the field and the players at the same time.
Yeah.
I just want to rephrase the question, because to me, even though I'm talking about money, I'm not actually talking about me or the field or the revenue for the field. I'm just want to talk about guys right now. We're like, 48-hour game. I mean, like, where do you think the budget is? How much money do you think these guys got to put in their piggy bank, you think, to play in a 48-hour game? Like where, like, is this $100? Is this $200? Does a guy, how much do you think is going to be the average budget? I'm asking not as a field, a player. Like where do you guys think this thing has to be in order to get the kind of interest as well as for guys to be able to afford it?
I would like to see it definitely less than Skyline Nation. Skyline Nation does amazing events. Skyline Nation 13, I believe, and I'm trying to look up the information, was about $180, $200 per player for 48 hours worth of playtime, food supplied, camping is supplied. There's
Reed does a good
throughout the entire thing. Yeah, Reed does an amazing job. I would like to see it probably around the 100 to 150 mark for an entire weekend worth of play. That way we're not, causing players to say, I can't do it
would work,
because, school's starting up or something like that. I want to see as many players come and have fun as possible. And that includes renters, that includes first-timers. I would love to have a wide range of players come out.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to say, so now I'm going back to the business standpoint. I think that if you're going to try to include food for all that, because I think we would be probably willing to do a camping thing at no charge, try to get people, in at a low cost. But when I look at food, food is one of those things where everybody's a connoisseur in a certain way, shape, or form, and because everybody eats and everybody likes different stuff and all that kind of stuff. So would you guys get multiple food sponsors? Because food can start to add up over a 48-hour period. I'm just even trying to think of if you work out of town and what you get paid for your sub pay or something. I think, food run in this cost, in the budget range of where you're talking about the whole event costing.
Mm-hmm. That is definitely something that I've been mulling over as to who to approach. I definitely think some of the larger grocery stores, so maybe Superstore or Costco, go for burgers, hot dogs, fruits and veggies, bottles of water, bottles of Gatorade, carrots, celery, anything and everything that can keep a player going. I mean, burgers and hot dogs are easy to do on a field. You don't have to be a magician or a chef to make that, good. And every player loves a burger. They love a hot dog. Gun owner days, burgers and hot dogs.
You guys are crazy athletes at this point in time. I mean, in all honesty, I don't even think we can feed them hamburgers and hot dogs because I don't know if they'll make it 4 to 8 hours if we feed them hot dogs and hamburgers, right?
Well, I mean,
these guys. Fruits and vegetables, and they need oatmeal and breads, and they need all the types of ingredients that is going to keep them they've got to stay awake for 48 hours and go hard. That's why I'm questioning maybe we up, some sponsors on the food side, because I think food sponsors are probably easier to get than paintball sponsors because they have a big,
very, very true.
Who might be interested in being part of a book of world records thing, and it's the type of thing where everybody who I just think that maybe that's an avenue you guys may want to go down if you're looking at bringing the cost of this event down, and that's why I wanted to talk budget from a player standpoint, because I think to keep costs down and go to sponsors, I think we have to go outside the paintball industry, and food is one of those things where I think is going to be a major cost of this event.
I definitely agree with you there.
Yeah, no,
approaching as many companies as possible would be our main goal, and definitely fruits and vegetables to have everything covered to give players the fuel they need to keep going. I do have to say, Kyle said food truck alley.
Yeah.
I don't know how well that would go over with a 48-hour event. But absolutely, I definitely want to approach, maybe GE or some of the big companies that do multiple cereals or, sports drinks, something like that. This is something that I've been trying to figure out, and I thank you very much for asking the questions because it's making me think a lot harder. and it's getting everyone involved in that discussion at the moment, so that's perfect.
For something like that, I could also reach out to a couple of buddies of mine that are butchers and probably get a whole hog for the roast.
And pig roast would be awesome.
Yeah. So
yeah, buying bulk or something off of a local farmer or something like that.
Yeah. So it definitely sounds like you brought up some really good questions and some good points. We definitely have a lot more that we need to do on our end as far as planning and making sure that everything is as organized as we possibly can before we get too far down the rabbit hole of, you know, all of the other ins and outs of trying to put together the game. You know, we got to make sure that everybody's
off-season coming up.
Exactly. So I know we've all got a few sleepless nights ahead of us, but we have hit our 1 hour mark here, so we do kind of have to try and wrap this up. But we can definitely talk more there, Brandon. And
yes, I would like to talk more.
So,
Absolutely, Jim.
I have a feeling we're gonna have some long meetings in the future as well with General and Mother as well. They're also on the planning committee.
Yeah.
Destiny is in there. Spartan, Grizz, myself, and anyone else from the area who. From Edmonton area or even, you know, inside the province who wants to be part of this planning committee with some good ideas, you know, hit me up on Facebook, let me know. We'll do some discussions, and we'll try and expand our planning committee so that we have all areas covered. I would love to be able to say at the beginning of the season, this is going to go ahead and this is who we have on board with it. So this off season is going to be really busy, and I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, well, you know, Grizz, it was nice working with you over the past 24 hours. It seems kind of like a marathon day dealing with me.
I'm just glad we were able to get everything up and running and get rid of all the gremlins.
And thank you, everybody, for watching, and I hope I didn't bore you too much.
So
you didn't bore us at all.
You didn't bore us at all.
Yeah, definitely not. So to everybody watching, thanks again. And definitely go check out Young Guns if you're in the area. And even if you have to travel.
Thanks.
Have a good night.